The high motion rolls through the streets of Berlin. In the summer of 2006, Volkswagen began testing this hydrogen-powered fuel cell automobile for everyday use. The new technology can help considerably improve the quality of life in the German capital's streets. The car is extremely quiet, and only pure water leaves the tailpipe. The latest fuel cell automobiles don't have an internal combustion engine under the hood. Instead, a series of fuel cells deliver electrical energy. Hydrogen flows into the cell at its anode side, while oxygen enters from the other side, the cathode. In the anode, the electrons are stripped from the hydrogen atoms. The positively charged protons, here in blue, move across the orange membrane, jumping from one electrode to the other. In the process, they become fleetingly attached to water molecules trapped in the membrane. The negatively charged electrons, here in yellow, stream along the exterior to the cathode. There they react with incoming oxygen to form what's called product water, which is discharged from the exhaust. Between 50 and 70% of the energy provided by the hydrogen drives the car's electrical motor. The rest is released as heat. In cars with internal combustion engines, which produce much more waste heat, the excess is either absorbed by the cooling system or emitted through the exhaust. But that system doesn't work with fuel cells. When temperatures inside the fuel cell reach just over 100 degrees Celsius, the water stored in the membrane turns to vapor. That interrupts the charge exchange, and electricity stops flowing. To keep electrical flow constant, each individual cell has to be painstakingly cooled. The cooling system ensures that the collection of fuel cells as a whole doesn't exceed temperatures of 80 degrees. But the water molecules trapped in the membrane also cause a further problem. The inflow of hydrogen and oxygen gas can dry out electrolytes. That can also impair function in the electrical system. To prevent that, a special unit moistens the incoming gas. As you can see, until now, building a hydrogen-powered fuel cell automobile required more than just an efficient fuel cell. Constructors also had to find ways to cool the cells and humidify incoming gases. The entire system takes up a lot of space in a car and is very expensive. That's why Volkswagen has developed the next generation of fuel cells at one of its research centers. The goal has been to make the overall system more compact and affordable. Phosphoric acid plays an important role in this process. Although the electrolytic properties of phosphoric acid are similar to those of water, it has a higher boiling point. The scientists first immerse the orange membrane in this substance. After a few minutes, it's been permeated by the phosphoric acid. After cutting the membrane to the appropriate shape, the researchers integrate it into the stack of fuel cells. First, they place a plate made of compressed carbon on the finished cells. The oxygen flows in through the grooves on the plate. Then they seal it. The scientists then place a carbon tile inside to act as a cathode. The membrane, soaked in phosphoric acid, is then stretched over the cathode. That's followed by another seal, and then another tile, which functions as the anode. The hydrogen gas flows in through the grooves in the final plate, and water cools it from the other side. "12 bar of pressure is applied to the stack, and the researchers bolt it together. In the new membrane, the blue protons use molecules of phosphoric acid rather than molecules of water to transfer charge. And because the boiling point of the acid is higher, the entire cell can withstand higher temperatures. That means the extensive cooling system can be reduced significantly, a major advantage. And the gases don't dry out the electrolytes in phosphoric acid as they do with water. A humidification unit is no longer necessary. But there is one problem. Just like with first-generation fuel cells, product water forms at the cathode during the process. It penetrates the membrane and leaches out the phosphoric acid. Yet another situation that can interrupt the flow of electricity. That's why researchers at VW developed new electrodes to help prevent product water from permeating the membrane. In the first step, a screen printing machine coats a carbon tile with a special paste. Then the scientists turn the tile into electrodes and test it on a stack. The results are conclusive. The product water can no longer penetrate the membrane and dilute the phosphoric acid. The cells continue to function at 130 to 160 degrees Celsius, and the higher temperatures provide another benefit. The membrane is less sensitive to impurities in the air. The first generation of fuel cells only worked in tandem with elaborate regulatory systems. These second-generation fuel cells allow constructors to dispense with around a third of the components.
We are convinced that by preventing product water from washing out the phosphoric acid, we have taken a fundamental step in the development of high-temperature fuel cells. However, there are even further steps we have to take to get high-temperature fuel cells really up and running.
VW researchers hope that, within just a few years, they'll be able to build standard automobiles that also use the technology currently being tested by high motion. High-temperature fuel cells allow us to make the environmentally friendly propulsion system both smaller and more affordable. A successful and important step for Volkswagen, one that brings fuel cell technology one step closer to series production.